Hi friends, happy Monday. Thanks for joining me. It's Angela with Wild Violets Art, and I've got the Florals in Bloom Sweet Collection tonight, and we're going to make some really pretty cards. So hopefully you'll be able to join me for this. This is one of the cards that we're going to make, and then here's another one, and then the last one we're going to make is this one here. Aren't those beautiful? So obviously this one, we're letting the DSP do all the hard work. This one, we created our own DSP. And this one, we created a beautiful bouquet out of the dies. So I love the coordination of these colors, and I stuck with them because they were so pretty to me. But I'll show you the rest of the suite. So we've got Sweet Blooms, which I know you've seen me use this. I've been using it for scrapbooking because I love these large stamps and matching dies. So you can make some really beautiful titles for your scrapbooking pages. And then we have these pretty florals. And some of the dies are missing here. I'm going to show you. They're on the DSP. So, and then this is the coordinating 2025-27 in color pearl. So this suite uses a lot of the in colors, and it actually uses the in colors for both 2024-26 and 2023-25. So the ones that are 24 to 26, and then also the 25 to 27. So there's all kinds of it. Okay, so as you can see, there's beautiful color on all sides, on both sides. Most of these are a little too busy for me. This one I think was the one I found the most pleasing, but you can use as much or as little as you want. But I like that when you are doing possibly like gift bags, these have a coordinating color on the back side so that it's not, so it makes great like gift bags where you fold back the lid, so, or the top. So really beautiful. Okay, so I wanted to show you real quick. I've got a couple of these here that have dies stuck to them. So this is one of them. So as you can see, the dies that are for these stamps also work on the DSP. So this is two of them, and these are the blooms, both blooms on this pretty florals. So right here is this one, and then right here is this one. And then on this one, I don't think this is an exact match for this die here, but it's pretty close. And I think you could easily cut it out and make it still look really pretty. And then, let's see, this one I didn't have one, nor this one. But on this one, you can see that this here matches the die. And then this one, which it's a shame it's covering up the top part of it, but you can see this beautiful floral has a die that cuts it as well. So, and I believe this is in multiple colors, not just this one. There may be more than one sheet is what I mean that has the same. Nope, I don't see any others. So it's just this one. But this matches this flower here, but it also matches this flower from Sweet Blooms. So the Sweet collection has two stamp sets, two sets of dies, but the Sweet Blooms, Pretty Floral dies are the ones that are going to match your designer series paper. So let me just show this to you up close. You can see how closely that matches. So that's 5 dies that you can use on the DSP and the stamp set. Okay, so just as a further, page 40 is where this Sweet collection starts. And look at all these samples that you can take from, get the, examples from for your ideas for cards. There's a little close-up of one of the cards here. And then it gives you just some imagery of the images that the artists were doing to create these beautiful florals. And then again, just showing some details of how they got the components of this card. So you can see that they used the die for some of the flowers, and they fussy cut some of the flowers. And then of course this is the stamp and die. And then they're giving you ideas on how to create different cards. So and then look at this is 8 pages of pictures for this sweet collection. So this is another card that shows that's from, nope, not from here, but it shows you another idea. Excuse me. And then another idea, but it gives you some ideas that you can die cut out the word bloom and 2 different colors, or you can stamp and die cut. And then this is a scrapbook page or home decor. So I just love it that they've spent this much time on this sweet collection. So it's really, really beautiful. Okay, so for the first card, which is this one, I've got the components here. So I've made a coordinating envelope with some of the designer series paper. So you can see that it does coordinate. And I just put the DSP on the flap. All right. So this is the card that I'm going to use for my card buffet. One of the cards, I have about 12 cards that I'm doing. So if you're interested and you are local to Eagan, Minnesota, then message me and I will send you the information for my upcoming class. So I'd love to have you. Okay, I need a scrap of this. So this is the back side of that designer series paper right here. So we're going to use this to create our little sentiment. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is I am using the embossing folder that goes with another suite, but it's called Pressed Flowers Embossing Folder, and you can see how pretty that image is. And I'm going to bring this up closer to you so you can see how pretty that turns out. Isn't that gorgeous? Just so much detail. Really, really pretty. Okay, so this is a 3-inch by 4-inch piece of cardstock, and this is the bubblegum cardstock. And I want my floral, 3D floral, to show up for clear up to, so I'm going to pretty much keep it over here on this left-hand side so that I get as much floral as possible. So just a little bit of open space up above it. And then I'm going to die cut this or emboss it real quick. So this is not a 3D embossing folder. So you'll need your plate number 1, your plate number 2, put in your embossing folder binding first, and then plate number 4. And I'm doing this off camera because in order to emboss, it takes up a lot of space. Okay, so you can see this is just beautiful. Okay. And all right, so now we're going to take, this is a 2 1/4 by 4-inch piece of designer series paper. And then I am using the Petunia Pop ribbon. So I probably should get this out, and I didn't. I still have it in my ribbon collection here. Sorry, I have all my ribbon up in my cabinet, and I forgot to get it out. Okay, so this is the Petunia Pop bordered ribbon. So it has the like a stitch along the edge. So let me just bring it up close so you can see it. It's really pretty. Hey, Linda. Okay, so what we're doing is we're using an A2 basic white thick cardstock. It's my favorite go-to for cards just because it's got as much thickness as the regular colored cardstock. And I do understand that the price has gone up, but I will continue to use it. And now it's being shown online only. So they were going to discontinue it altogether, but there was a bunch of brouhaha. And so, oops, I didn't get this the right size. So this is the Secret Sky cardstock, and we're using a 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 piece of cardstock. Oops, I'm not gluing this down yet. Okay. And then we're going to glue the 2 1/4 piece of DSP to the left side. I almost messed it up by gluing the whole thing down. And there's just a touch of the Secret Sky in this DSP, but it's just enough to really make it pretty. And then I'm going to glue this bubblegum, embossed bubblegum piece that's 3 inch by 4 inch. Just butt it up against there. And then we're going to need about, I want to say about 16 inches to be able to tie a ribbon or tie a bow to this. I don't like cutting it until I have it all figured out, but I think it's about 16 inches. Yeah. Let me just, probably maybe closer to 18 inches. All right. And I'm just going to lay this out and let you watch me. So if you want to learn how to do bows, I have a YouTube video called Bows, 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 and I just slowly work through a number of different kinds of bows. Now this is way more than I needed. And I think it just has to do with the direction that you do it. I'm right-handed. So when I get here, the easiest way to do a bow and not feel like you have to have another set of hands or fingers is I put a glue dot down where I want my bow knot to be. And then just press it down. It holds it for me. And then I can tie my bow. Now I did cut way more than I needed because I do want my little bow to be small. Okay, and then because I want it to turn a little bit, I'm also going to add another glue dot so that it forces my bow to be at an angle. There we go. So now it's facing this way. Otherwise, it wants to go this way because that's the way my ribbon is. Okay, so now I've got my scrap of designer series paper, and we have You Make Me Smile stamp set from the Sweet Blooms. It's got some really cute sentiments. I mean, you can make this Have a Lovely Day. And then I want to use You Have a Lovely Smile. So one of these days I'm going to stamp this, fussy cut it out, and then separate it so it is a really pretty title for a scrapbook page. And then It's a Lovely Day or bloom where you're planted. Let joy bloom. There's just a bunch of combinations. I love this stamp set, so it's really, really fun. Okay, so we're going to use the Secret Sea. Did I call it Secret Sky earlier? I apologize if I did. So it's Secret Sea stamp set, and we're going to have this all the way over to the right. And then we're going to trim about right here. And then I'm going to make it into a flag. So I just typically cut or snip it right in the middle. And then I use my snips to meet in that one place in the middle. There we go. It's never exact, but it's close enough. And this is a 1-inch piece of designer series paper. Okay, so now I am going to place this on my card, and I want so that my bow doesn't cover up the word me. So I just want it to be a little bit south of there. So let's get some dimensionals. And I'm going to put one here. And then I'll put one in the middle, one at the end, and then it'll hold it in place. There we go. And then we're going to use one of these really pretty low profile dots. I love them. I mean, look at them. They don't come up very much, so it makes it really easy for them to go in the mail. And we could use the Secret Sea, or we could use the cloud cover. And I'm going to use the cloud cover for this one. It's just so pretty. Really gorgeous. And we've got a beautiful card. Isn't that pretty? So this is one that we're going to make in my card buffet. So now we just need to glue it on to, get rid of all my extras here, onto my thick cardstock. So my card buffet is May 31st. It starts at 10 a.m., goes until 4. People can come and go as they want. It's 3 cards for $10, or if you make 4 cards, it's $3 a card. If you make 4 cards, it's $10. And then each card additional is just another $2. So in other words, 5 cards for $12, 6 cards for $14. So it'll be really easy to make as many as you want, and I'll have a total of 12 to choose from. So really, really beautiful. All right. And then for the envelope, just the typical, I add the DSP to the envelope. I'm running down to the bottom, but knowing me, I wait till the last possible drop before I'm willing to toss it. And then you just trim it so that it is right around the edge. It's really easy. And we're going to use the same DSP for all the cards because it coordinates with all 3 cards. Even though this isn't the exact designer series paper as is on here, it coordinates with it. So very nicely. Okay, so there's card number 1. All right, now let's get to card number 2. This one's a little different. We are going to make our own designer series paper, just like so. And then I have some really pretty little brass butterflies on this one. This one is a little more time consuming, so this is a little more advanced and is not part of my card buffet. So again, I made an envelope that coordinates just perfectly. So really fun. So this time I'm using an entire A2 card with the Secret Sky. Secret Sea. See, I did it again. I think someone else started that because I noticed someone was like putting stuff on social media and it kept saying Secret Sky instead of Secret Sea. Okay, so we'll use that in a minute. And we'll need that. We're using a layer of garden green, a layer of petunia pop, and then we've got our envelope, of course. This is for our little sentiment. And then this is for our DSP. Okay, so one of the coordinating stamp sets with this Florals in Bloom is Memories in Bloom. And I showed you the scrapbook on Friday. Hey, Arlene. Sorry, the Secret Sea is definitely more blue than green, and it looks almost black in this video, but really, if you look at it, it's like a dark version of, I want to say Misty Moonlight. I mean, you can see that it's definitely on the blue side, but it's a little different than Night of Navy. So Night of Navy has got a little bit more blue in it. So I want to say that it's still in the blue family, but it's almost got a gray-black color to it. But let me just show you what it looks like mixed with black. Cloud Cover and Secret Sea are the two favorites. So you can see how these colors coordinate. There's the black, Secret Sea, Night of Navy, and Misty Moonlight. So definitely a dark version of a blue. Very, 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 you know, like a, even though that one's called Misty Moonlight, this is like a dark midnight blue. Okay, so I'm using this flower from Memories in Bloom. And you don't need two, but I'm also using the Florals in the Pretty Florals stamp set. And then I'm also using this one from Sweet Blooms. So I'm using all three stamp sets for their florals. They're all coordinating. Okay. So let's put this aside. And this is for the inside of the card. Okay. So the first one that I'm going to do is the Petunia Pop. Okay. For my roses. Just two of them. I mean, if you're doing a bigger DSP, you know, piece so that you can, like a big 8.5 by 11, so that you can cut it down and just keep using it, you know, that's fine. And then I need, there's some two-step stamping. Excuse me, they're sticking together and falling down. So a bunch of stamps that I'm using for these. Okay, so there are two different pieces for this two stamp sets or stamp pieces for this one bloom. So this one will be the lighter color and this one will be the darker color. Okay, and it's creating little tulips. So let's do the darker color first, and the darker one is in Blackberry Bliss. All right, so I've got this one going over to the side, and this one down here. So this is Blackberry Bliss, and it just coordinates with the Petunia Pop nicely. And then we'll bring the Petunia Pop over, and we'll do the second floral, which is here. And make sure that I have my color over the entire thing. So I'm doing the darkest one first because it's the easiest one to see through, and it'll lighten up here a little bit in a moment. Right now it's super dark, but the inks tend to lighten up a little bit. And if you wanted to, you could use the same ink color for the one and then just stamp off and use a lighter version for the second step. Okay, so now I have the leaf set that needs to go next. And I know that everything fell, so here we go. Okay, so this one's going to be in Garden Green. So I am just going to line up. This is the wrong one. This is not the correct one. Let's see, where's the leaves? Oh goodness, I wonder if it dropped or something. I'm looking for this one right here. It's not there. It's not there. It's not in here. I remember hearing something drop, and I do not see it. Phooey. Ah, I had stamp pads on it. Here we go. Okay, so this one is going to be the bottom of these flowers. So now I'm again going to line it up with the dark flowers. Okay, now the second one, I'm going to need a little bit of a mask to make sure that it doesn't get in the way of this rose. So I'm just going to cover up the rose petals. And that way I can stamp this in the right place. So you can see that I missed a little bit, but that's okay. I think it still looks all right. And then, okay. Now this one, I'm going to do this first. And again, I need to have something that masks the flower so that I don't stamp the flower in the wrong place. And then I'm going to put a little bit down here because I have everything in a different place than when I did it originally. So these are the stems, and I'm doing those first. And then this one is 3 parts. So it's this, wrong one. Nope, 2 parts. So it's the stem and then the flowers next. And the flowers I'm going to do in the cloud cover. And I was lucky enough to get a good cloud cover, but there's no guarantee it'll stay good. So, and that is just luck of the draw. And like I showed you in one of my earlier videos, if you want to create your own cloud cover, they do have, or if you want a cloud cover, you can get the re-inker, and you can get a basic white pad, not a basic white, sorry, the white craft pad, because it's empty, and then you can put the re-inker in there and try it yourself. The problem is that the issue with Stampin' Up! Not selling the cloud cover in the full size ink pad to customers and only to demonstrators is that they just can't guarantee, because the chemical makeup of the ink and the pad for some reason wasn't working. So they have those little mini Stampin' Spots that are blank, and you can put your re-inker, just get a little re-inker like this, and you can use cloud cover. If you don't want to do that, the catalog does have, I'm trying to remember where I saw that. Page 33, they do have cloud cover in the classic Stampin' Spot small assortment one. So you do have that option of having cloud cover. Okay, let's see. What else are we missing here? There are some more flowers and leaves. So this little leaf is from right here, Sweet Blooms. And again, I'm going to do this in Garden Green. And this is where you can protect your little blooms and just add your leaves where you want them. Okay. And then I do have a little flower that is, again, it's part of this right here. And there's two different ways that you can ink that up if you want. You can use your Stampin' Right markers. You can't use alcohol blends, okay? So it's real important that you use the right markers for it. So let me just show you. Put everything away that I don't need right now. Okay, so I'm going to do Petunia Pop for the flower, and I'm just going over far enough just to ink up the pink, okay? And then I'm coming over here to my Garden Green, and then, so you see what I did there? So I just inked up the flower, and then I ink up, so you can see they're just those two colors. Ink up the little flower and the leaf, and then I'm adding it. So now my DSP is mostly done. Now, the last thing that I did was I wanted my roses to have some color because they're just an outline, because that's the way it's shown on my stamp set. So these don't have the 3D element that the Pretty Florals have, okay? So I am going to fill in with my paintbrush end, and I'm going to just add some color. So I go on the outside edge and the inside edge, and it just kind of gives it a little bit of a, like the sun is touching it. So looks like I got one of my leaves right on my flower where I didn't intend to. So this is the underside. So this one is going to be nice and dark, and you can go over it as many times as you want. Inside edge, outside edge, inside edge. And I'm just kind of going back and forth. I'm not doing anything perfect, but you can see it just kind of looks like a really lovely bloom with some sun. Okay, inside edge again, outside edge. I'm nearly scribbling. So this is achievable by anybody if you like that look. Otherwise, you could just fill it completely. It's like I forgot to color one area. inside edge, outside edge. The under part of the petals, nice and dark. Okay, and then I'm also going to color up my little flowers. I do not have a petunia pop, or I didn't want the petunia pop on this one because I wanted the flower center to not disappear. And then instead of using garden green, I'm using granny apple green. And then I am doing some granny apple green to the leaves. All right, DSP is done. Oh, one thing I did on this one that I didn't show you. Okay, so I got the Stampin' Right markers, and these are online only, so you're not going to find these in the catalog. You're going to need to go online and type in either the 2025 to 27 in color or type in Stampin' Right markers. And they had cloud cover and Secret Sea. So for this, I'm just adding so that it matches my actual DSP. So if you remember the little card that we put together, see these little florals? The DSP has a little bit of the Secret Sea and some little lines from the cloud cover. So I'm just going to add a little bit. Not getting exact. It's just loosey-goosey. But I just felt like these flowers needed a little something. Not everybody feels that way, so you don't have to do that. And then this one, same thing. Just adds a little bit more depth to your little flowers. Okay. So now I'm using the textured note dies, and I'm using the next to the largest die. These are my favorite frames, and they are from the Botanical Texture Suite. And I just love this. Isn't that beautiful? It's so pretty. So now you just find the frame that you like on your flowers, and I'm going to come up a little bit because I want just a little bit of white space at the top, and I do want to include the tulips in both of them. Okay, so I'm just going to die cut this real quick. So I'm using my big die cut machine and using the 1 plate, the 2 plate, and then both the 3 plates. And I love how pretty this die cuts out the edge. Isn't that just an elegant way to finish off a pretty card? Okay, so now we can start doing the layers. All right, so we're going to, this ends up being, I believe it's like 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. So I needed this to be 3 3/8 by 4 7/8. And then my pretty petunia is going to be 3.5 by 5. And that way there's just 1/8 of an inch difference, and you get this really pretty subtle edge. So now I'm going to use the cloud cover, and this is the cloud cover faux linen ribbon, and I just want to show you how pretty it is. It's almost got a metallic sheen, so it's almost, I want to say, like a faux silk, but it definitely doesn't feel like silk. It just has a sheen of silk. So we're going to use enough to make a ribbon, a bow, so we're looking at probably 20 inches is probably a good number for this. And I want my bow on this side. So I always start with my ribbon going to the right and over the top, and then under, and that way I get a pretty little bow. And I want my bow to be as small as possible so it's not taking up tons of space. And then once you kind of have it where you want it, then you can add a glue dot underneath. So I'm just going to use a glue dot. I could have put it in place for when I was tying my bow, but I forgot to show you that again. Okay, so once the bow's in place, then I can add it to my card front. Come on, there we go. Gotta use every last drop. All right. And then we're just going to center it on the card. All right. And then I'm going to glue the inside piece. Guess I need to get another bottle. Just fighting it, trying to get every little bit. Thanks for your patience. All right. And now we can do our sentiment. Okay, so we're using the Sweet Blooms, the word bloom, and we're using Let Joy. I think it will make a great anything. You could be a wedding, a shower, Let Joy Bloom. You know, you can that just as a hello for a friend. Okay, so Secret C is what I want for the smaller sentiment, and Petunia Pop for the bigger sentiment. All right, so this piece is about 2 or 1 7/8, so you need a pretty large piece for this sentiment to make sure you've got room. And it looks like just a little bit. It didn't stamp, so there we go. I got lucky. That's why I love the photopolymer stamps. They're so much easier to correct boo-boos with. Okay, and then I need this one for the Let Joy. There you go. All right. So now we'll die cut this with the matching dies. So we're using the word bloom. So there's two sets of bloom. There is this one, which die cuts the same as this, which you could do two different cardstock colors. So I could do petunia pop in this one and then white in this one. But I like stamping it and then die cutting it with. So I'm just going to line it up. Make sure that I see around all the different letters. Okay, and then for this piece here, I just want to match the same angle. So you can see I'm just kind of, you can also use your cutter if you'd like. And then I want it to be a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to cut it a little bit smaller. And that way it's not so big. There we go. Just a couple of snips. Okay, so now, because it is so tiny, I do need to add the smaller glue dots on the back. So I'm using the mini glue dots. And then for the last little bit, I'm just going to cut some small slivers so you can see how small these are. And then I'm going to use my little tweezers and put them on the last few letters. That way they don't fall down. Okay, let me just show you up close what I've done. So I'm just putting the bigger ones in the bigger locations and the little ones down there where the details are. Okay. And then I am just placing this right above the ribbon, maybe a little bit off the side. Make sure my ribbon isn't covering it up. And then putting this just here, just tucking it in. Let joy bloom. Now we just need the final touch, which are the little brushed brass butterflies. And there we go. So pretty. And then, of course, I'll just glue this onto the envelope for my matching envelope. I think it matches perfectly. So, all right, that's the second card. And then, in case you missed it, Arlene, this was the first card. All right, now the last card we're going to make is this one here, where we use the dies to create our floral for us. And then we use the coordinating cardstock around the outside edge. Okay, so let me just get rid of some of my little glue dot pieces. There we go. Okay, so for this one, the only thing I'm going to be stamping is the sentiment. So we're letting the dies do the hard work and a little bit of DSP. And then, so we've got our envelope that's coordinating. All right, so again, this is the A2 cardstock, A2 thick, basic white cardstock. And you can see here that I've already die cut out with using the same one as before for just a beautiful framed piece of cardstock. And then this is a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of DSP. And this is like 2 1/4 by 6 inches for the envelope. And then a scrap I didn't mean to put in there. Okay, so I am layering it with just a small piece of the Blackberry Bliss cardstock. And this, because this is 3 1/4 by 5 or 4 3/4, then this piece right here is going to be 3 3/4 or 3 3/8, and by 4 7/8. So we can put that together now. See, I never know when it's going to like squirt out. So there's still more there. And we can fold the card. Here's my envelope. We have thunder and lightning and rain tonight. So very exciting. Dog is not happy. All right, so I'm just putting a little bit of this glue. Come on. You were just there. Last little bit. All right, trash time. And then just centering it on the cardstock, on the card. And then I'm not going to glue this down yet, just in case, because I'm going to stamp. Once I put my flower together, then I will stamp where the hello goes. I don't want to put it before I have my flower together. Okay, so just to show you the different dies that create these flowers, these are the pretty floral dies. And they have all these really beautiful dies that create. So I use the bubble gum for the big rose. So consistently across, you can see that the rose is bubble gum. So I would have used a larger scrap for that. And then I have some granny apple green that I'm using for this curly leaf die, and also the bigger leaf die. So I've already got them cut out. And I did 2 of the curly leaf ones. So you can see you just need a little scrap of that. And then for the petunia pop, this die cuts out 3 at one time, which is really nice. And then I needed 1 of these in garden green. Okay, so I'm gonna, this is the one that's gonna hold the 3 tulips. And then you need another piece a little bit bigger than this to do the 2 leaves. And this is the 2 leaves. And then you'll need a little piece for the bottom part of the tulips. This is Blackberry Bliss. Okay, so just kind of give you an idea of which dies I used for what. But I used all the pieces except for this one that are specific, not specific to a stamp set. Okay, so they're just dies for the, oh, and then this one was also done in petunia pink. I forgot about that. That is the inside of, and it looks like I forgot to cut one out, the inside of the rose. So let me just die cut that out real quick. Get rid of my scraps here. All right. Okay, so now we are going to assemble the flower. So for this piece right here, it's obviously pretty thin. If you want to, you can use that adhesive. Oh, thanks, Arlene. So I am using the fine tip glue pen, and I'm going to add glue to the back of this, and just in places where it's wide enough to hold a drop of glue, because even though this is really a fine tip glue pen, it's such narrow pieces that it's not the easiest to do. Okay, so this lines up. So this piece here lines up there, and then so it looks like I got a little bit of glue, but it adheres pretty fast. Okay, so now we're going to assemble the little tulips. Okay, I think they're tulips. You can think whatever you need to. Okay, so this one goes with this one. And then you can see that some of these have kind of a flat bottom. Oops. And then this one has more of a, it's going to be my top flower. And it's got more of a curved bottom. So that's how I line them up. Okay. I should have kept that out. I need a little bit more. Okay, so these are the leaves, and I'm only putting it on the leaf. And you have to cover this up, otherwise it's much like, I don't know, permanent glue, what do you want to call it? So I'm doing this one, the middle one first, and I'm not letting these bottom parts touch. And then I am overlapping just a little bit. Fat fingers out of the way. And then this one is last. And then I'll just let it sit for a minute so that it dries. Okay, so now you can start assembling all your florals. Okay, so this one is going to be down here at the bottom, and it can hang over a little bit. If it would make you more comfortable, you can put it on your here first, but I want to stamp on it before it's on here. So, okay, so I'm going to have my 2 leaves like so, and there's plenty of room around the border, so that's why I feel like it can hang off of this portion, this base. Okay, so you can see where that's going to go. So I'm just going to flip that over, and then I'm going to add my glue dots. Before I adhere them or take the other part off, just making sure it still works. And now this part here, so I want some of these leaves to pop out. So then I can add more glue dots. And that's all I need for this one. But the only thing is I want to make sure that I add this one. So actually, and then you can add more to the leaves as well. And then once everything is in place, then I can just pop it on. And then these ones are the last little bits, and you probably need glue dots to get them where you want them. So I'm just going to take a little glue dot, stick it to this part, and then just kind of tuck it under both my flowers and the bare leaf. Just kind of accent. And now you've got a beautiful bouquet. And I can put my little hello sentiment. All right. And I'm going to put this one in Petunia Pop as well. And again, this is just a general greeting. It'd be great for thinking of you, or, whoops, this is the wrong sentiment. This is let joy. Wrong one. I almost put it down. All right, let's try this. Hello. And hopefully I can get my O over that other part that I stamped down. Yeah, and it worked. All right, now I just glue this on. I'll get my new glue out. And this, just center in your card base. And then the final thing that I'm going to add are my little embellishments, and I'm using the rainbow adhesive back dots. And again, these are low profile dots, so they make it really easy. Because I didn't have any Secret Sea or cloud cover on this card, I couldn't use any of the new ones. But so there you go. There's our 3 cards. All right. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. And I hope you have a lovely evening. If you're watching later on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Share with a friend. Again, it's Angela with Wild Violets Art. And thank you so much for joining me. Just so you know, Fridays, scrapbooking and scripture, YouTube is telling me it's too large. I'm not sure really what that issue is, so it's something I have to research, and I haven't had time yet to do. So I've not been able to get that YouTube video uploaded yet, but I'll work on it. If I have to, I'll split it in half. So, all right, have a fabulous evening, and I'll see you soon.